Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you another video. All right, so I'm up this morning and feeling pretty good, even though I got all the things to think about that I've been thinking about. But as of late, I slept very well. Got my mind right this morning. And was listening to the Kaminsky brothers talking about D'Angelo Russell in regards to our LA Lakers. And I didn't hear his exit interview, so I'm taking from the excerpts that they said. But essentially, they were describing his thoughts, and he was saying, I am who I am. There are certain parts of my game that I'm just accepting of, and at the end of the day, I'm nice at what I do. At any given night, I can be better than your shooting guard, better than your point guard, and those were the words that I took from the Kaminsky brothers in regards to what D'Lo was saying. Essentially, what they were describing to us from knowing him, and if you watch the content, forgive me for recapping their words, but he was a guy who um, has a lot of confidence, but at the same time is aware of his limitations. And for me, when they were describing him speak of those limitations, I took from it that I think D'Lo is in a place where he's trying to accept who he is, and based on what they were saying, it doesn't seem like he thinks he can get better at certain things. You get to a point where you're in your career where you just are who you are. Now that could be real because they could be something physical limitations that could keep you from actually doing certain things. And it seems like that's what he was referring to. Being able to move faster, jump higher, things that if he had superhuman powers or something like that, he could obviously manifest within himself, which would then give him the ability to do the things that he would like to be able to do. It wouldn't be his words in a reflection of a lack of confidence or a lack of desire to get better, or even worse, a belief that if you continue to do something, you still won't get better. And that is the part that I wanted to speak against. And it's because of my own lifestyle and how I've lived and how I've thought, and kind of kept myself in spaces where I probably shouldn't be. Perceive myself going through certain things based on my own perception of life or what have you. And one thing I learned as a young kid working on my confidence, and as a grown man still working on my confidence, is your limitations are real when realized. Now, you can't grow wings and fly, as we already said. Certain physical limitations, memory limitations, certain things are just going to be true. But you can even improve on those things to the slightest degree. You may not be able to jump as high as so-and-so, but you can jump higher than you did yesterday if you keep jumping. You see what I'm saying? You may not be able to shoot as well as Steph Curry, but you will improve your shooting percentage if you keep shooting. And so, while being cognizant that I didn't listen to D'Lo's words, so it may not apply to what it is that he's trying to say, I want to encourage anybody who watches me, to understand that you're talking to somebody who truly believes repetition can make you better. From this point, at things that you otherwise wouldn't be limited from being able to do, you can get in better conditioning for yourself. Maybe not in the conditioning somebody else is in, but you can get incrementally better if you put the intent toward doing so. No different than if you put your intent toward laying down and eating poorly and not being active will in turn put you in a position to be in less conditioning. You're working at something, whether you are actively working at something that's positive or actively working at something that's negative. One way or another, you're improving. So when you speak of not being able to improve, you speak that into existence. When you speak of your limitations as it pertains to you not being able to incrementally get better, you speak that into existence. Limitations are real when realized. Now, sometimes when you're working in a team setting, you can't take chances. So that will also put limits on you and what it is that you may be willing to do in order to get better. I can become fantastic at shooting 50 footers, but it's probably not best for my team. That kind of thing. But all in all, I just don't want anybody who may be, I think D'Lo's like 27, 28 years old, 10 years younger than me, to think that at 28 years old, they can't get better at something they're not strong at. Because at 38 years old, I've improved on things a lot since I was 28. And if I believed that I was only going to be as good as I am, or that I couldn't that I couldn't teach old dogs new tricks. I wouldn't have learned some of the new things that I've learned. I wouldn't have gotten better at some of the things that I've gotten better at. Hell, I wouldn't have started this channel. I'm 27 years old. I didn't have no active channel. No way. And wouldn't have did it. I had to grow into a person who was confident enough to even do this. Well after the age that D-Lo is right now. Limitations are only real when realized. And if you never realize those limitations exist, then they're not real. You can be a little delusional if you take that too far, but if you understand yourself and still push those limits based on what it is that you can do a little more, you will get a lot better. And so I think D-Lo should continue to work on his game. I think he needs to believe the limitations that he feels are physical and ignore the limitations that he believes are strategic and things that can help him get better in areas of the game. Or to think that whatever may be the case, he is just as good as he is ever going to be. I don't believe that. I don't believe that because I think if he had that mentality at any point, or rather believed that at any point before he got to where he's at, he wouldn't have got as good as he got. Who determines when you get to that point where you just are who you are, but oneself and one's ability to either continue to work on the craft because they don't desire to do so anymore, or whatever it is that you're working on, or one's just simple frustration with just not getting better after a point. When you keep doing something you've been trying to do and you just get to a point, it's like, all right, it's not getting to where I want to go. In my fitness journey, especially early on, I went through that process once a month because the progress wasn't coming quick enough. First of all, I wasn't eating correctly, so I was putting the same thing on me that I was trying to take off, working against myself. But that wasn't the point. I wasn't cognizant of that. And because I wasn't cognizant of that, I was frustrated because I was working but wasn't seeing progress. I was working, but the body still looked the same. I was sweating, I was hurting, but it wasn't doing anything. And there were moments where I'm like, you know what? This ain't worth it. The pain ain't worth the progress. I can sit down and relax and look the same way. Although that wasn't true, as I told you already earlier. When you're sitting, you're just going to do more of what puts the more of the fat on you. But nevertheless, this is my mentality when I'm sitting there drenching with sweat and still take off my shirt and saw something I didn't like. And so what I'm telling you is I had to get past those points, get back on my workouts after feeling that way in order to get to the point where I was actually pleased with what I saw in the mirror. You got to be able to overcome them days where the progress is slow or it seems like it's not. And most importantly, do not let those days halt your process. I don't know if that relates to D-Lo in any way, but when listening to his words being described, that's where I ran with it. I don't know what it is that he may or may not be able to get better at, or if he thinks that at all or anything like that. I got to listen to his exit interview to take anything from his actual words. But I just don't want anybody to think that at 27 years old, you can't get good at something you've had a hard time getting better at as of late. That ain't how that works. You can definitely get better. You just got to get past this era. And part of overcoming that process is getting through that era that makes you feel like you need to turn back the other way. That's part of the process. Is the test of thinking, I can't improve. Or I'm old. I'm too old to get better. You can always get better. You know what I mean? You can always get better. That's what I've learned. Physical limitations in place based on what it is possible, you can improve. And so that's what I want to encourage everybody to believe, man. You know, because at the end of the day, I've gotten to a point where I'm past the age people told me that you get too old to learn new tricks. I've gotten past that point. I'm now in a space where I'm supposed to either be who I am and that's it. But the problem is over the last 3 years, I've incorporated so much new stuff into my life. So many new practices, so many new things that I've turned my entire identity around. I'm an artist now. I wasn't an artist 3 years ago. I was a security guard. You see what I'm saying? I turned myself into something else. Now, if I would have believed I was only going to be what I was going to be, then I would have definitely been that. The limitation starts with me, my belief. And so it's like, nah, I'm not incapable of doing something new and getting better at it. I'm not incapable of looking myself in the mirror and say, yeah, we're gonna get in better shape. And maybe I look in the mirror and don't see that shape that I want to be in yet. but it's not like I'm going the other way because I know that's going to do something too, is it not? So we got to keep on the ball, man, and get better. Get better. You know what I'm saying? Stop believing that you can't. Because at the end of the day, you got this far. And you could have started believing that at any point in that process. BDF 44, I think you'll watch.